whole minorities, majorities of different, Muslim people. But on the whole, the Iranian people, they had no problem with the Shah. They didn't. They didn't.
Do you think it was a good idea to put the Shah in the first place?
The Shah was already. Let me correct you on that though, Jake. Peter, before you answer that, the Shah was already there though.
No, I know he was
already
there.
the monarch though. Just to clarify,
you know what I mean when I say put him in. Don't be fucking daft.
Yeah, they gave him more power than the prime minister, but I'm saying he was already there. You make it sound like he wasn't there.
No, they made him. Yeah. They made him the de facto leader of Iran. That's what I mean. You know what I fucking mean.
Here, I'll put it in the side chat for you. There you go. Okay, that's in the side chat for you, Wonton. Can you read that? Right, that's the Wikipedia article explaining Mossadegh's, political affiliation and position, regarding religion.
So Peter, if people didn't mind the Shah, who was opposing him? Just the religious?
A lot of people did mind the Shah, especially lower income and poorer people.
Correct.
A lot of people did.
Correct.
That's not
Correct.
true at all. I mean, yeah, like Peter, the people that you were hanging out with, were they a bit wealthier people?
Oh yeah, they were absolutely. They were middle class, exactly. Wealthy. They had beautiful homes. They had televisions. They had alcohol. They had pornography. They had everything, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyhow, the point being, Wonton, that Mossadegh was neither communist nor religious, nor he was not fascist. He was social democrat, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But Jake is absolutely right. The lower class, the poor people, they were the opposition to the Shah. That was
and there
true.
were a lot of poor people. There was, any system that embraces, neoliberalism over social democracy is going to have issues of like massive income inequality. And that income inequality could have been avoided if we allowed the social democrats to remain in power.
The propaganda's going to say, look how the Shah's living up there in his fucking palace doing this. Look what he's doing with you people. You're poor. The Shah's got to go. All that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying is all of that could have been avoided if they never bothered putting him in the first place. And what happened to Iran afterwards, right? They became a more conservative society, a more religious society.
But that was pressured on them.
Yes, surely it did. I mean, for a lot of them it was. But what I'm saying is that, Iran would probably be a more progressive, more secular place if we didn't try to force secularism on them.
You don't know that. You don't know that. You're making assumptions with no evidence. So it's very anecdotal what you're saying right now.
What I'll tell you, the problem now is because Iran's got all these mullahs and they're very religious. They're not allowing in their last elections. They banned over 7,000 people trying to run on the election issue. So that means this whole clerical government in Iran is self-protecting. It's not democratic, and they're actually forcing this onto the people. And the general people want good elections, but they can't elect anybody that they want as progressives. Because the Iranian present government, they don't want to go to progressive. But the population, they actually want to become progressive. They've had enough of this total sort of, but they're not allowed to because their elections are stifled.
That is true. And I agree that like things do need to change in Iran. But
it's all the Shah's fault because the Shah created those million some people that were fucking crazy fucko nuts that wanted the fucking current system they have. It's all the Shah's fault. That's Jake's lesson here. If we hadn't intervened at all, Jake knows for a fact that the crazy fucktards never would have came out of the woodwork and wanted this crazy shit. It never would have happened. Jake knows this.
I mean, I don't think it's controversial to say that the crazy fucktards came into power as a backlash from the forced westernization that was basically being put on them with no choice. Like
Yeah, it was forced. It was forced Westernization. The people were fucking at gunpoint, and the Shah said, "You have to go to these malls. You have to buy these blue jeans." Peter, it was forced. You have to buy these blue jeans. You had to drink Coca-Cola. All the Shah did was open the markets up and allow the goods and services to come into the country. The people
Exactly. That's exactly what he did. That's right.
And that resulted. I mean, that had nothing to do with like the rising income inequality that country faced. I mean,
Yeah,
I
but he was basically putting Iran on the map, on an international stage, on the map.
I mean, they could have done that without him.
I think it was a good thing.
Who knows what they could have done
what Jake
without
is
him.
saying, yes, there was inequality, but I think if they would have allowed the system to continue, that more opportunities would have been available to the people there, and people would have gone from people were already going from working, being peasants on a fucking farm to like service related jobs. There still would have been an income inequality, but the income levels would have improved over time a lot more than what they were being stuck on.
Under social democracy. Hold on. I mean,
Okay.
the guy who came before was a social democrat. So under
this guy's
social
wrong.
democracy, who knows? Who knows how Iran could have progressed? You know what I mean? Nationalizing oil, like they could have genuinely improved the lives of a lot of people that they never got a chance.
That would have improved lives as well. I think both. I think either leader is better than what they have today. I'll concede that. Either I'll even take the guy that you want to put on a pedestal who had absolute authority for 12 months.
I mean, I'm not putting him on a pedestal. I'm just saying that we had no right to take him out.
I agree with that.
I'm not putting him on a pedestal. I'm just saying we had no right to take him out.
If you look too at
that taking him out has
resigned. The guy himself
taking him
resign.
I mean, he chose to resign.
The first time around,
I mean, it was a coup,
and the Shah reappointed him. So why would the Shah have the right? If the Shah reappointed him, why wouldn't he have the right?
He resigned under a coup d'etat. He resigned under a coup d'etat.
Fu, if you look at the little block of text that you put in there, you might notice that it says the very first signs of opposition to these groups that in 1977 came from. Okay, it's like, what the fuck are you? What the? Most of the day was overthrown like 20 years. Like, what the fuck are you trying to do here, man? This is you're not being an honest actor. Like, what the fuck, man? You think somehow that proves you right? Like, why don't you just listen?
I don't think it's right to
show you
defend
that you're wrong about things.
Happening in Iran, all the fucking bloodshed, and say, well, it's all the Shah's fault and America's fault. It's not their fault. We caused it. That's bullshit.
I mean, do you think there would have been a 1979 revolution if we didn't put the Shah in?
I have no idea.
I mean, the answer is, I mean, I don't know what Iran would look like, but I know there wouldn't be a 1979 revolution because the Shah would never be in power.
Know that. You don't know that. If the other guy had stayed in, you don't know what would have happened with him either.
Well, I mean, I don't know what would have happened, but I know there wouldn't have been a revolution in 1979.
The other thing that comes into play here is if they got rid of the Shah, because they've got to look after Israel, right? So maybe the question is there something here that we can't be friendly with the Shah because he's pro-American, Americans pro the Shah, but then Israel's coming down our throats saying something. So this could all been political for the Israelis to be protected or whatever, have control. So who knows about that? This could have all been something we don't know about to do with Israel, about what's going on in Iran.
That's what I'm saying, though, Peter, is like there's these bigger international issues, and Jake thinks that you can just simplify it black and white, black and white, black and white.
No, you can't. Not black and white.
I'm not saying that it's black and white, but I mean, I do think that, the United States, by meddling and fucking with Iran specifically, has had, lasting impacts, negative impacts, not just in Iran, but in the entire Middle East. And those could be demonstrated. You know what I mean? Like, it's cause and effect. Like, it is a big picture. And the big picture, spells out negative consequences for the Middle East as a whole.
I think the Middle East as a whole is fucked up, whether America's there or not. You know, you want to blame all this stuff on America, and you don't even look at their own societies, their own cultures, where whether we're in that country or not, they're killing homosexuals. They're fucking cutting off witches' heads in broad daylight. They're funneling and fueling terrorism all around the fucking world. I mean, but apparently you want to put it all on America to say that, well, if America wasn't there, all these problems wouldn't exist, and that's very, very short-sighted.
Well, do you think that would have been happening under Mossadegh, who the United States deposed?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about this guy.
Well, you have so now you don't know about it. I was actually trying to make that clear that you don't know about this guy, right? And you should look into it because he was a great guy. He was a secular. Yeah, he was secular. He was a secularist and a Democrat. Okay, and the United States would not. I already said that him and the Shah are much better than what they have today. Well, I mean, what else do you want me to say about him? Well, then why are you arguing that that's the deposing the guy would not have contributed to what you just complained about?
I said if the guy had stayed in power, how the fuck do you know that he wouldn't have been overthrown by the crazy Iranians? How do you know that?
Well, I don't.
That's my point.
There's no way of me knowing.
Your point is that something didn't happen.
Hold on, I do know that you could look at like religious fundamentalism, and that there's like a big indicator of religious fundamentalism and religious conservatism is socioeconomic status. So if social democracy turned out to have better socioeconomic results for the people living there, there very well might have been less religious crazy people.
Yeah,
and I do believe that social democracy does, result in better material conditions for people.
That's my point, he says. How do you know that some religious faction wouldn't have done what we did? Well, I don't know that. Okay,
if this guy is secular,
the United States did.
If this guy is secular, that's already a big no-no in Iran. So
actually, it wasn't.
He would be overthrown eventually, anyways.
That's actually the whole point. No, it wasn't. In fact, Afghanistan used to be actually, considerably more secular, but then the United States, decided to support the, radical Islamists. Okay,
I want to say one topic.
It's so weird because it used to be like a mainstream thing that Democrats and liberals would always say. They would say, not talking about Iran specifically, but they would say, invading Iraq was a bad idea. It had consequences for the Middle East. It created a vacuum. Like it made the country less stable, right? Yeah. So you guys are willing, or at least you used to be willing, to point out, problems with American foreign policy when it came to Iraq, when it came to Afghanistan, but you can't do the same for Iran.
Okay, now you're comparing the invasion of Iraq to we never invaded Iran, so it's a false dichotomy. You can't even compare the two. So it's, first of all, don't even do that. Second of all, I'm against the invasion of Iraq. I'm not against what America did to prop up Saddam Hussein and provide him with arms. I'm not against
that. Why? So wait, why should we have Why should we have sided with Saddam
Hussein? If we had not armed Saddam Hussein, these crazy fucktards from Iran or elsewhere would have invaded Iraq and took them out.
Oh boy! Wait, okay, no, hold on now.
It was Iran who invaded Iraq. It was Iraq who invaded Iran.
Here you go again.
It was Iraq who invaded Iran. You got it totally mixed up.
Yeah, that's backwards. Yeah,
Iraq is the fucking aggressor in that situation.
Exactly. Yeah, it's supported by the United States. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tacitly, that's an indirect attack on Iran, from the United States via Iraq. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just America. It was like the whole Western world sided with fucking Iraq against Iran.
Yeah, that's not okay. No.
And that doesn't help. Like, what I'm saying is doing shit like that doesn't help those countries progress. It makes them dig their heels in further. into their religion,
and-
into
and-
their conservative values.
Yep, and
Like, it
could
doesn't
very
help
well-
them.
and could very well lead to things happening like say on September 11th, someone getting in plane and fucking murdering a lot of innocent.
There are people all over the world, Muslims, who want to change things, who want to see the country become more secular, less fundamentalist, less Islamist, whatever, right? And their job is made so much fucking harder when they have to fight not only the conservatives within their own country, but also American imperialism. That makes their job so fucking harder to actually change things.
Mhm. Yeah, and who else was killed? When Donald Trump, agreed to murder the Iranian general.
And Obama and Hillary Clinton, supported sanctions against Iran that have, totally fucked them up. So, this anti-Iranian sentiment doesn't start with Trump. It starts with, Democrats and liberals.
Yeah, and then furthermore, it even erodes, the secular segment of Iranians' population and everything, because they want to get the heck out of there. They're like afraid and everything, which just consolidates religious power.
And
right?
people are more likely to reject Western ideals, more likely to reject secularism when the Western secular world is all basically teamed up in ensuring your fucking demise through not just like war and bombing and shit like that, but also sanctions.
Mhm. And then it turns around and you got people like Wonton expressing this hatred towards Iranian people. It's a shame, right? It's not good.
It's a fucking it's very backwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want radical Islam. We don't want, we like secular governments. We're atheists, aren't we, Wonton? Like,
Exactly. We like secular governments. That's why I like Saddam Hussein.